Hello and welcome to Telling Tales. Here we tell atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop role-playing games. It's a Monday night, which means we'll be playing Shadows of Esteren. We're running through the adventures in this prologue book. It's lovely. It's really nice. And you can download it for free, actually. A PDF from RPG, I think. But obviously spoilers if you are watching this and following the story along. So we're currently running through the third of three adventures, which is titled Loch, Varn, and we're having a lovely time not having any idea what's going on. Below the stream, there are links to our YouTube if you're watching on Twitch, or Twitch if you're watching on YouTube, our social media, Twitter and Instagram, and our Discord, which you should come and join and talk to us and our lovely community that we have on there. It's very nice. And also our Patreon. So if you enjoy what we do on the channel, you can support us on there as well. Other things that we do on the channel, Wednesday nights, Matt runs Simba Room, which is our longest running series. It's very good, very popular. And we have a World of Darkness series, which is normally on Thursdays, but it's taking a break for the time being. So join us on our Discord or social media to see when that's coming back. And also the first Saturday of the month, usually, we run a different one-shot, different GMs, players, story systems. So far this year, we've had Cyberpunk and Tales from the Loop. The next one should be Saturday the 2nd of April, I think. But again, join us on our social media or Discord to find out for definite when that will be and what it will be. Cool. Let's recap last week. So if we bring on Inga first, who plays Sophia the Varigal. Hey, Inga.
Hiya.
Run us through the beginning of session 2.
Boy, that was complicated. Well, we woke up to Fionn screaming. So, we all awaken and, poor Fionn is remembering the dream of episode 1, one's adventure. But it only really kind of got more confusing from there, because as he started talking about what he remembered, we all realized that we all had very different memories of recent days. So Fionn remembered that as a dream, which is fine. But Ragnall remembered that we'd all been to that he and Fionn, or we'd all been to, now I can't remember the details, which is really ironic, but Ragnall had memories of going to some ruins, but they were deserted, and he had like documents of like things that they'd taken, he picked up from there, so like actual physical evidence. Fulga and Sophia didn't remember any of that. But we remembered that there was another Varigal who'd been traveling with us, who was now missing. But Ragnar and Fionn didn't remember this guy, Jiren. But Fulga also remembered some other people who were probably dead, which Sophia didn't remember. So we all had like really mismatched memories, and it was all very, very confusing. We had a bit of an argument about what we could and couldn't remember. Generally it was a bit disturbing. I think the only person who wasn't too unsettled by it was Fulga, who seemed to be pretty comfortable with the idea that things he knows are true probably aren't real, which was kind of interesting. So we had all this kind of mishmash of memories and decided to try and work our way back to the last shared memory that we could all agree on. We all had a vague recollection that we were heading towards Loch Varn, so we kind of agreed on what our overall purpose was, and then we kind of tried to work back to find the most recent common memory that we all could share.
Cool. So if Steve comes on, who plays Ragnar the Hunter. Hi, Steve. Do you want to tell us about the sort of beginning of your group's recollection?
Sure. So we remember leaving Durg, and we were heading towards, we'd seen a signal fire. So there'd been a signal fire and alerts that Loch Varn needed assistance. So we left Durg and we were headed over to Loch Varn to try and help. So we got to the entrance of the Vale, to this place known as the Inn Guard. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we found that the signal fire there had kind of burnt down. Hello, there's a huge cat. We found that the signal fire had burnt down, so it was still smouldering. Some wisps of smoke were still rising from it. But the place itself was deserted, and snow was falling. There was a carpet of fairly fresh snow. The barracks had been turned over. There were tables flipped over. It was a scene of devastation, really. And in the courtyard was quite a large molehill, sort of like 3 feet across. We couldn't find any tracks at the time. We kind of split up at that point. So Fionn and Ragnar spent their time searching the courtyard, and Sophia and Folga went up the tower to see what they could, the guard tower, to see what they could see there. They found an office with a desk, and they found a letter within that desk, which was a bit disconcerting. I can actually pop it up. So it talks about people disappearing, strange activity in the forest. These mention of weird molehills, possible Feondas activity, maybe a party of marauders. But they mentioned a derelict Magiantist laboratory. So yes, that kind of keys into why we'd potentially headed to this lab. That was pretty much it, I think. There, we decided not to stay overnight at the Inn Guard. I think Fulga had spotted a chapel from the top of the tower, which we intended to head over towards and maybe spend the night there. So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve.
Cool.
So yeah, Justin, who plays Fulga the Knight.
Hey.
Hi, Justin. Tell us a bit about St. Nilene's Chapel.
Yeah, it was nice, service poor, but location excellent. Quality interiors, real wood paneling. As we entered the building, we spotted a rucksack left by, or some kind of backpack or knapsack left by one of the soldiers who is fleeing. Well, probably one of the soldiers fleeing this devastation at the gatehouse, and we investigated that. We found that the soldier who had arrived now was in some kind of critical condition inside the chapel, and we kind of talked to them. They seemed to be pretty much, were they already dead? I think they may have already been dead, actually, now I think about it.
Yeah, they were quite critical.
Yeah, I wasn't bothering that. And then we ransacked their bag. Nothing really worth taking. No clues. And then enjoyed some standard fare. Soup, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
that was mostly it. There was a kind of priestess or something, acolyte there. Of the temple, and they seemed to be, a bit new, a bit unusual in their practices, but nothing super out of the ordinary. And
they were dressed as if they were mourning, weren't they?
They were dressed, in black as if mourning. Maybe they were in love with a soldier, or who knows what. There could be all kinds of romantic stories there, or stories of tragedy. Maybe a father or a brother was stationed at the fort. Who knows? Maybe they're just sad that they've been located in the Vale of Loch Varn, and that is a reason to be mourning enough. So we didn't really inquire because who cares what's going on in the NPCs' lives? We are the PCs.
Rude.
They're the NPCs.
Wow.
Just putting it out there. So that's basically it. I mean, really, that was the whole thing, the whole shebang.
Cool. So Sam, who plays Fionn, the Demorthan Mystic. Hi,
Hello.
Sam. Tell us about the end of last week's session.
Yeah, sure. I think it's also worth saying that Fionn at this point had a dream, including being killed by centipedes. Had then recollected going to this fort where something kind of large had burrowed out of the ground, perhaps the size of a giant centipede, and then had investigated the body of the soldier who died at this kind of place that we stayed overnight, which also was like had wounds like a giant centipede. So Fion's feeling confident that something with, I mean, they don't actually have 100 legs, but you know, that something that he probably thinks has 100 legs is gonna come and get them soon. But anyway, although his natural environment's pretty good, so maybe he knows they don't have them. Anyway, I'm getting too in depth. Yeah, so we stayed. So this is now we're kind of caught up with our recollections. So that is kind of the group remembering. That was flashbacks from where I woke up. And then we'd apparently gone kind of halfway to Loch Varn along the road and then stayed overnight there and woken up not remembering very clearly what had happened. And that's how we got into this circumstance. Although maybe that's not true because Ragnar remembers and has evidence of going to the place that I think we had a map at some point, the Magiantist lab that we're not really sure about. Either way, weird things have happened and we're now on the way to Loch Varn. Well, that's what we decided to do anyway because we don't really know what else to do. Upon arriving at Loch Varn, we were greeted by someone. Did we get their name, Jonny? I don't think we actually got a name from them.
You didn't get a name from the person you spoke to. No.
But they recognized us and were glad to see us back. We'd apparently been there before, and they'd sent us out to investigate, find out what was going on. So proved that we had apparently done other things and completely forgotten it. None of us remembered anything about Loch Varn or having been here before. But we did confirm that like other groups had also gone missing and other groups hadn't returned to the village. We're the first group to return, so not looking great for circumstances of searching at this point. I also spotted someone who kind of jogged my memory, so I kind of tried to hunt them down, but didn't really have any luck at that point.
Yeah, was that the person that? Was it Folger killed that person?
It was, yeah.
Oh,
right.
It was the person right from the beginning of the dream, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The person who came out of the darkness. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And they confirmed that Jiren was real and had been with us as well.
Yeah, they asked us about Jiren.
That's right. Yeah. So it seems like our memories are very mixed up, and now we're in Loch Varn, and lots of things have happened, most of which we don't remember. Maybe all of the things we remember have happened. Who knows? It's confusing.
Yeah, they're all like contradictory, but they all seem to be true somehow.
Yeah, so far, yeah. I know.
Okay, so you were kind of wandering around town, waiting for the village council meeting to begin, and after a couple of hours, you are kind of rounded up by somebody who comes around and gathers you all. Were you going off separately, I think, or at least sort of vaguely separately and maybe meeting back up? I think you'd all kind of expressed an interest in looking for
I think we were trying
things.
to I think we were trying to jog our memories just by sort of wandering around and just looking at things, seeing if anybody was recognizable or which is probably a really bad idea, splitting the party 4 ways. That's
Well, this time nothing bad has happened, and you are all sort of collected one by one into a group, and then taken into the village elder's house, in which there are about 50 people when you walk in, and there is a kind of clamour of conversation. So you spot the sort of Loch Varn's clan chief is sat on a seat at the front when you walk in, along with the people that you would presume are the local Demetha, the teachers. A few warriors are gathered around in the room. Some people that look like fishermen to you. You would imagine that there is a large fishing contingent in Loch Varn. And when you walk in, the atmosphere feels tense in the room. You spot, in fact, make me perception rolls, please.
Perception, or can I argue for relation?
Definitely perception. This is a seeing thing.
I rolled my usual 2, making it total 4.
Character sheet, why you don't work?
7 for me.
I knew I'd forgotten something.
I mean,
Bear
story
with
of
me.
this whole arc, surely.
13 for me.
Okay.
I think mine will have been. So I rolled a 4. I think I'll go about 6 usually to add on. So I'll say 10. I think that's about right.
Okay, in that case, Ragnall and Theon spot nestled away in a seat at the back of the room next to a very large brazier is an old man wearing a necklace to which a stone is tied, and that stone is engraved with an ogham. Theon would immediately recognize this man as the man from the dream, who you may have presumed was a Demorthan in the dream.
Yep.
Which probably shakes you slightly.
Mm-hmm.
However, Ragnall is presumably much more shaken, as seeing this man reminds him that he actually had the same dream as Theon. So suddenly, the whole dream that Theon described, Ragnall now has as a memory of a dream that he had forgotten on waking.
A memory of a dream.
Yes.
Right.
So you remember having had this dream the night before, but you didn't remember it on waking.
Okay.
Justin?
Do I remember this person from the party of
You-
people that I thought we were traveling with?
Haven't seen him yet.
Right. Never mind. I don't want to know. I don't want to see this person.
Yeah.
Well, you'll see Ragnall probably stop suddenly and stare.
I think.
Maybe, I don't
Can we
know.
have a
I don't see
mental
that, 'cause
resistance
I rolled
roll for
2 and a
Ragnall,
2.
please, Steve?
Oh god, mental resistance roll. Now then, that is D10 and
Plus your mental resistance, whatever that is on your
whatever
sheet.
that is, which will be 6. It's not great. It's not great. Is rolling high or low good on this one?
I think you
Same as always. A high is
High.
better.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a shame. Well, I rolled 8.
Total.
Yeah.
Okay.
Including a bonus.
Yeah, so that's
You will
mental
have-
resistance 6. Plus, I rolled a 2.
You'll have a temporary trauma point, so
Oh,
just
great.
make a note
Lovely.
of that somewhere. It may become relevant.
Joy.
I'm sure we're not going to be losing any more sanity in this story, right?
No, 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 no.
So yes, that happens, and it's a couple of minutes before the council meeting begins proper. So if you have any interactions to have with each other or anyone else,
Yeah, I was going to say, if we're not immediately forced to somewhere, I would straight away go to the Demorthan. And then maybe do they like recognize me? Does it look like they recognize me, nodding to me like they're someone they've seen before, or is that?
no, you don't get any recognition in his eyes as you walk up to him.
Okay. I will kind of crouch down and say quite quietly to him, "Do you know me?"
No, I'm afraid not.
I see. Well, we've been here tasks to help Loch, Varn find out what's going on in this strange valley.
You are from one of the scouting groups.
Yes. No, never mind. Perhaps we'll talk again later. And I'll turn around looking slightly confused.
He kind of smiles, the small smile as you say that, and watches you walk away. Justin?
Are there any noble-looking types? Knights, rich people, people like my people?
Not really. This is
darn
a small sort of fishing village from what you can gather. The nearest things are probably the warriors who patrol the walls and watch for creatures coming out from the woods.
They're not my people.
Get you with your soap.
Look, yeah, exactly. Thank you.
do
I've got
you-
40 Ember Dowls
away.
now. I can buy my own food.
Do
But I
you think
won't.
Sophia and Fulgur would be watching where Theon goes as he walks off?
Fulgur would. There's not a chance that he notices it. There's not a chance.
I mean, I like to think that Sophia would have some vague awareness of that, but the perception roll was pretty low, so maybe probably not. I guess maybe just
Fulgur, as a
generally
rule,
still-
doesn't notice things. You know, so
That's probably
I-
ever succeeded at perception. Sorry.
Well, I mean, you know, we spent like the last couple of hours or whatever wandering around town, seeing if we could jog any memories. Sophia's probably still scanning the crowd, seeing if anything jogs a memory, missing
Yeah.
everything.
and Theon kind of wandering off probably is what he's been doing for quite a while. Like he's probably been exploring the town on his own a little bit,
yeah.
so it's not really probably
Okay.
catching our eye.
Cool.
I was going to say,
Yes,
given that
go on.
was only a moment, when I come back, I noticed that Ragnar was clearly bothered as well by seeing him, and I kind of just say to Ragnar quite quietly, maybe just so we can hear. I'll probably say it in our language, to be fair. Are you well? You look like something came back to you.
Yeah, that dream you described, I had it as well. I don't know why I didn't remember it then, but seeing that the man with the Ogham stone, that's just I saw him in the dream.
And this is distinct from your memory of visiting the Magiantis lab.
Yes, thanks, Jonny.
Interesting. Did it end at my... And I'll kind of look around slightly awkwardly.
I presume it did.
It's
yeah?
exactly because you woke when he screamed. It all
Yeah.
ended at the but you had it from your viewpoint.
So I
rather
just
than
saw
from
Theon
Theon's.
being swarmed with hundreds and hundreds of centipedes. Yeah.
Dire, absolutely dire.
Well, I suppose we have to assume it was a dream, given I'm still here. And we've never met this man before, but he was definitely in it.
But how can that be?
How can any of this be? Let's see what we find out here, I suppose.
So a hush settles over the room, almost all at once, even though nobody seems to have said or done anything to kind of drop the volume. And the sort of clan leader says, one of our scouting parties who came to us from Melwan's Vale have returned from the ruins. And you hear a kind of a small, not a cheer, but sort of a small sound of sort of gratitude and accomplishment kind of pass through the crowd. And he says, please come to the front.
Oh God, this is like those
Fulgur
nightmares when
steps
you
up.
haven't done your homework.
Also, Sophia's probably stopping for a second, just waiting to see if somebody else steps up first.
Yeah, Fulgur's already stepped up.
Oh,
He's ready to
marvelous.
speak.
You have
And
your
then, yeah,
uses.
Fulgur realizing, oh no, that's meant to be us.
What did you find?
I'm going to start with a relation roll because I think that I will need it. I desperately need it. So we'll see how well the what I'm going to say comes across. I rolled a 3. I have 8 in relation, so that's 11. That's an average.
That is an
Average
average
roll.
pass. Yeah.
Average pass. And what I'm going to say doesn't even deserve that. So I think Fulgur is going to basically say, you know, we have what we know of the ruins is that they seem to have some kind of powerful magic upon them that causes those who enter there to become disturbed and addled in the mind. We barely remember any of our trip, and although we have come back safe, we know that Giron, who left with us, is no longer with us, and we know not where he is. We still are missing a lot of information. So if there is anything that you could say, perhaps that will help jog our memory. Strangely enough, we have had experiences with memory altering events before. We tend to find that talking them through and talking to people can be very helpful. So what I would say is, let's all have some drinks and some food and see if we can work out what happened. And with that, I'll happily sit down with my like that was a great success.
There will be time for drinks and food. Our gratitude towards you will not go unrewarded.
Ragnar will step forward and say, "We did find these," and I'll dig out the bits of the puzzle and the scrap of paper with the various things on, which
Jonny,
I can find in a minute.
Sorry, you said it's like 50 people, like 50-ish people, right? Like,
Yeah.
Just like lots of different people from around the town, or do they all look important enough? Like they've got Ogham signals and things like
No.
that?
So a lot of them look to you to be fishermen,
right?
Or warriors. So they're certainly not, elders, one and all. At the front, where you are, is the clan leader, the teachers, and not that you've spotted them properly yet, but this Demorthan off to the side as well, who you presume to be sort of the elders of the village. But yeah, the main bulk just seem to be villagers, really.
Perhaps we can discuss this more in a more private setting.
He looks at the papers that Ragnar provides and says, "This one certainly looks to be the scrawlings of a magiantist. Not sure about this other one. Very strange. But, well, I have no use for them, so if they may be useful to your investigation, then..." And he hands them back to Ragnar. "Perhaps we can talk more in private later. However, you have mentioned that there are perhaps some differences in your understandings of the events. Would you be willing to share these differences for our benefit, our understanding?"
Yeah, sure. I mean, I look around and Fulger's always willing to give anything a go.
I think Sophia might, sort of try and approach him more quietly, like not to like the whole crowd. Just say, "Do you not think it might be worried? Does the entire village need to be worried about the strange things that we have to report?"
Well, the goings on here affect the village as a whole. I do not try to hide things from the people of the village. It is my responsibility to deal with them, but I don't see any reason that I should hide the facts from them.
Just didn't feel like the most tactful way of talking about potential missing people or deaths, or it's your call.
I'm undecided. Fulger doesn't know. Fulger's willing to take lead on this one from anyone. I think there are some things that we can share.
I think
with
Theo
everyone.
might jump in if you do look kind of you're unsure, Fulger, and just
I
say,
am unsure. I'm unsure.
Well, the things we all agree on would perhaps make sense to say first. We know we came because of the signal lit at Ingard, is it? to
Yep.
the valley. The signal you set for help. We're all agreed on that. We saw things at Ingard. It seems that they were attacked there. You may already know this, I'm not sure. And we couldn't find anyone alive there, or any bodies, but there were clearly signs of a struggle. Something that attacked them that came from underground, it seemed. Very worrying. Do we have that note, by the way, Jonny? We did pick up a note from the guard there as well, didn't we?
The one from the captain of the Inga.
Yeah.
Yes, you have that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess whoever has that, I'll be like, show them the note.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Then,
he looks concerned as he's sort of looking at this.
is this all new to you?
The details, yes. Yes.
Well, it seems after that we head to. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the church. All of it.
St. Nilene's Chapel.
St. Nilene's Chapel, and stayed there for the night. We found one of the soldiers who'd made it there, wounded, well, dead, sadly, when we got there.
And there we met Joan, the attendant at the chapel, as well, who maybe is known to some of you. That's all it's got.
I'm sorry, this is all new information to you, is it?
The well, any mention of specific creatures, yes.
Well, apparently we were here before. None of us remember we all thought we were on our way here for the first time, but we were greeted as though we've been here before. It seems strange that we wouldn't have told you about what we've already encountered.
Yes, that does seem strange.
Let's just finish off our story before we get too lost.
Well, the next morning we had, as far as we remember, we thought we had to you at Loch Varn, but that's where things get confusing. I believe some of us think that we'd been to the Magiantists' ruins. Some remembered big groups of us. Some remembered Jaren. I don't remember him at all. We have this as proof that we must have been there at one point, I suppose, although most of us don't remember it. Given our state when we woke and our lack of clarity about what was going on, we all decided it was best to head to Loch Varn, and that was when we came to you. How long ago were we last here?
3-4 days. One of the Demetha teachers kind of leans forward and gets the attention of the clan leader and says, perhaps it's the toxic fumes of the Magiantists' inventions that have had this effect on them. And another says, or maybe it's cursed.
Our memories, our lack of memories extend to before we supposedly got to any ruins. We don't remember being here and being sent to the ruins. If something went wrong, it started here. No, it started before we even got here. The last thing we remember is the chapel.
But
I think I will mutter, if I can, to Fionn whilst this is going on. Are you going to mention the dream?
Perhaps not yet.
Justin, Fulgur
Yep.
sees in the crowd a young man,
Good.
and Fulgur then receives the memory that he had the same dream last night that Theon had.
Sure.
And this young man that he sees in the crowd is the one that he killed in the dream.
Great. Great. So am I rolling for something?
Probably a mental resistance roll, I think.
Rolled
Looking for a
total.
14 total.
That is what I rolled a 14. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No trauma, but probably still
Full
at least
good.
mildly affected by the knowledge that he receives.
He's not dead. There's good news.
Oh my god.
I think a little delay, but I think
Strange.
when people mention the top fumes as well and everything, I think perhaps Theon will say, we've had experience of this Nimhile before. It didn't specifically cause memory loss, but it certainly caused many complicated difficulties for any living thing. I hope it's nothing like that here, but it seems like it may be likely, and it may affect other things living in this valley as well.
I'm not sure we can blame the giantess on this. It's some ruin that's been abandoned and causing no trouble for a long time. And like I say, it feels like the problem existed before any issue with the ruins or before we got there.
The Demorthan stands slowly. He's a relatively old guy, and he kind of gets himself out of his chair and says, "The Magiantists damage our land. They take things from our land that should not be taken, and they put things into the land that should not be put in." If Sophia turns to look at him, she will remember that she had the dream as well.
I assume I will roll for mental resistance as well.
Yes.
$11.
Okay, a temporary trauma point for Sophia.
This is all very... I kind of look at the others as if they're like, are you seeing these people?
Yeah, I think Sophia was kind of going to turn to say something to him, but I think the shock of suddenly getting the dream memory back probably, like, she'll be like, well, and then just shut up.
He's quite stern as well, the way that he's sort of looking and the tone of his voice. You kind of, you get the feeling that he really doesn't like Magiantists.
With Sophia's lack of response, I suppose I'll butt in and just say, I have nothing but agreement for you. It most likely is that all of this is caused by the terrible meddling that these Magiantists do upon our world. But I'm not sure... Well, you know this place better than I. Has there been any Magiantist here that you've known of in living memory? Has the place been used by any of them?
When I was much younger, I am probably the only one here who remembers them. But yes, they their experiments were bad for the land, and they were doing things that were harming, and the spirits, they didn't like what they were doing.
That makes sense.
How did it end? What happened?
They left. And the their building fell to ruins, but who knows what was left in there and seeped out, and what damage it's doing now.
Where were we heading to the ruins when we left you last?
Yes,
Ooh,
you were. Well, all of the scouting parties were going to investigate the ruins and the surrounding areas.
Where had we come from? Did we come, as we thought we remembered, directly from the chapel?
I think all that we know is you came from the Vale of Melwan. Upon your arrival and the arrivals of others who were here to assist, people were sent out with relative haste. We didn't inquire as to the particulars of the journeys of the people who had come here to help us. That may be rude. I apologize, but we were...
It was a busy time, I imagine.
I'm worried that this is being viewed in too narrow a way. We've seen some dangerous effects of Magiants, but if there's nothing to indicate that there's been a renewal of interest at the ruins or anything, it seems strange to just assume that this is something to do with that. We've seen all sorts of other more dangerous occult nonsense, and that there are all sorts of powerful forces that can be dangerous and have evil influence in the world. I think it would be foolish to pin all assumptions on the Magiantists.
Perhaps so, but in my time here, they have been the one cause of issues like this.
And there is no doubt to me that there is something about that ruin specifically that has affected our memories. Certainly everything seems to revolve around it.
I disagree.
You have to understand that we are quite out of the way here in terms of the chance of banditry or similar to explain that people going missing and the things that are happening. It simply doesn't seem to make sense for something like that to be the reason.
It didn't suggest bandits. I think weird things have been happening. Clearly something weird happened to us before we got to the Magiantist ruin. Something's wrong with our memories from before we got there. Something else has affected us. Maybe it's Magiants, maybe the influence has spread, maybe Magiantists are actively at work and affecting things before people get to the ruins. I don't know, but something has affected our memory since before we got here. I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and not remember that we've been here to Loch Varn again for a second time. That's terrifying.
Well, I see we don't really have very much information for you about the ruins. We can describe to you how we had like the map. Do we have the map? Is the map's from the dream, isn't it?
The map is
yes.
from the dream, yes, but we can sketch out. I think.
We have vague recollections of how we may have remembered it, but no hard facts.
I might give Fulgur a funny look when you say we have vague recollections. So I didn't have any idea that you remember. Yeah,
but maybe the most useful thing is for us to either retrace our steps or wait for more of the search parties to return.
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, there was something towards the end of the session last week about secrets at the chapel. Was it just Fulgur who had a memory of that? What?
That was Fionn.
Oh, so
it was only Fionn, but now you can all recall. It's almost like it's almost in sort of films and TV when the dream is ending and you're kind of zooming out and you can hear a voice follow the dream.
Remember the chapel.
It's kind of like that, yeah.
Well,
Okay, so we all now have that same thought.
Yes, and as far as you're concerned, it is this Demorthan man who spoke those words to you from the dream.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Right. That adds a spin on things.
I think
It is
Sophia is going to shut down. She is just desperately waiting for a point where we can talk privately amongst ourselves.
So
same
the clan chief says, if all parties are willing, my suggestion, and given your contradictory testimonies and understandings of the events, and given the gravity of the current situation, we would like to ask Dion, he turns to the Demorthan, we would like you to attend the ruin yourself, and we wondered if you would be willing to accompany him. As you said, you know the layout of the ruins to some degree, and we will also send one of Varn's warriors to be essentially a bodyguard to Dion, so you shouldn't need to worry too much about protecting him.
Oh dear.
In the dream, there were 2 people guarding him, correct?
Yep.
If I'm reading too much into this, Jonny, tell me.
No, I don't. I think you're reading exactly the right amount into this.
Okay. I don't say anything. This is what I'm thinking about.
There was one of us had the Demorthan looking sideways at Fionn suspiciously, had somewhat of a premonition about.
I'll maybe be giving you eyes like, no, don't talk about this.
And we'd rather that the things in that didn't come to pass. This trip that you're suggesting augurs too closely to this divinely inspired vision, and it doesn't sit well. Doesn't sit well.
Dion says,
"Yeah, go on.
even if this vision is accurate, perhaps it could be viewed as a way to avoid these things that you have seen from happening. If you know the events that lead to other events, perhaps the specifics can be avoided."
There are many tales about prophecy. Everyone thinks they can avoid the future they know through the knowledge they've gained. They can't.
If I'm concerned that if you come with us, that the event will be marred by death.
There's a low sort of intake of breath throughout the room.
I think we have other avenues to explore, which I would like to discuss with my friends. Speaking very
Perhaps then you would do us the kindness of considering our request this evening and giving us an answer in the morning.
That would be appreciated.
That would seem like a
We
good
could just
idea.
leg it. Let's just leave.
A night to get out of this valley,
Oh,
guys.
that's such a Steve way of fixing a problem. Putting it out there.
I'm going to
So-
say it now. The first thing that Sophia is going to do as soon as we are alone is write herself a note that says, if you forget in the morning, don't go to the ruins.
Nice. Nice.
I love that. Jonny, if in this room I'm now having like a good scan around to see if anyone else is remembered other than De Morton, because I think he's the only one that I recognized. Anyone else I recognize from my dream? The warrior that was suggested, or did they suggest a specific person?
They haven't suggested a specific person, but make me a perception roll.
Yeah, perhaps I'm particularly looking at the warriors then, because they're the ones who might most likely be coming with us. Perception. Why is my character sheet always so far away? No, I think pretty sure it's plus 4, and then plus my. Oh, nice, 15.
Yeah, so you spot a warrior who you recognize as the one that you spoke to in the dream.
Okay.
I think Fulgur mostly spoke to him, but
With the Demorton, that little camp, yeah.
yeah. And you also spot the man that Fulgur killed in the dream.
Got it. Okay. I'll
those are the only people that you recognize.
Okay, cool. I'll try not to do it too conspicuously, but I'm trying to like get those faces like to stick in my head.
Yeah, so basically, it also stands out to you that the only people that you recognize are people that you saw in your dream last night. There's nobody else that you've seen in the village that has made you think, I've met that person before.
Right.
Despite these people saying that we've met them before.
Cool. Well, is the basically the meeting petering out after that, or?
Yes. Yeah.
Great. Well, off to bed then.
Nothing to
How
discuss.
can you
Go
be
sleep.
eager for sleep?
Wow. Well, I guess the rest of us will.
No. Seems tricky.
Are we able to find somewhere like to ourselves, Jonny? Then.
Yeah. So you are. There isn't an inn, so you are basically provided a room each in different people's homes for the night. So, but you have sort of, full run of the. It's not like you're being tracked or nobody's stopping you from leaving. So if you want to go walk outside the village to get some privacy, you could do that. Or find a spot within the village, or maybe down at the edge
By
of
the
the
loch.
loch. If
Yeah. Theon
Let's go to the
suggested
Loch.
go away out the village.
I've always had good experiences with water in this game, so why?
Brings back great memories being with Loch to me. You might just lie down by this tree and remember.
Oh.
Okay.
As soon as we're like away from other people, I'll say, Fulgur, you mentioned you had memory of the ruins as well. Did you? I thought that wasn't.
I don't
don't
remember
know.
the dream.
You.
I
as
remember
well.
it too. I remember the dream. It just suddenly came back to me. Did it happen to you too, Fulgur?
I don't know what it was, but I certainly feel like I saw what Theon saw. Perhaps it's some kind of divine inspiration, finally.
Not sure what I did to earn divine inspiration, Fulgur. Not to burst your bubble there, but
Well,
Me neither.
the true one works in mysterious ways.
yeah. And I'm wondering whether there was some mysterious goings on at that chapel. The last thing I remember from that dream was something about that chapel That's the last thing we all remember. That's where it all went wrong, was the chapel. Something happened there, surely.
True.
Or something happened here. Maybe it's that Demorthan, if he's even a real Demorthan, I don't know. Like,
Well, in our dream, we didn't seem to have any reason to fear him.
what if
My
he's
concern-
controlled our dream?
My concern is we've seen things that haven't happened.
It does seem to be a
Yes.
premonition. I do believe that Demorthan has never seen me before. Certainly not seen me well enough to converse before.
I don't think that the future is unchangeable. If we have received a vision, then it must be for a reason. It
I
must be
certainly
because
hope-
we can make decisions to change it.
I certainly hope it is changeable.
I don't truly believe any of this nonsense about prophecies. There's some sort of visions have been put in our minds. That doesn't make them prophecies. If you think there's some sort of strange magic at play, it's somebody manipulating us. It's not divine. It's not premonition. It's someone trying to control us, maybe. I don't know. But there's something deeply uncomfortable about it. And it is strange that we don't remember anybody at Loch Varn. Well, the only people I remember are the people from the dream. Like that's it. No, I see them. It jogs my memory of the dream. I see anybody else. It jogs my memory about nothing.
It's as if the future has become somehow part of our memory, and yet the past has gone completely from it.
No, that doesn't make any sense, Beyond.
I'll give you a look. There were
Things
3
are
people in that
making
room that I
sense.
recognised from the dream. The Demorthan, a guard who was with the Demorthan, and the man that Folga killed at the beginning of our shared dream. He was there
Which
as well.
must mean, yes. I think he will be one that we can't trust.
But regardless, if we end up going to the ruins with those people, then it's very clear that this prophecy is likely to come true in some form. Or
In
if
some
we see
form.
them there, or if we encounter them before any of this happens.
We can't go back there, especially if you think it's a prophecy of some kind. Beyond, you assuming that the dream really was exactly the same for all of us, it did not end well.
The more I think on this, the more I think you're right. It adds up that when we left the chapel, our memories become unclear, and we've all dreamt that the chapel is important. Perhaps we should go there first.
The only reason I now think maybe we shouldn't is because it was the voice of that man telling us to go, well, not telling us to go back there, but telling us that there was something significant there. And I don't trust him. I don't trust anyone there at Loch Varn.
Well, who do you trust? Who can we trust?
I trust you.
I trust the vision.
The vision is certainly not truth. So there is no confidence that that man is who is saying that or any of such. It's just what in our memories is.
It seems likely. They talk of there is a way of thought in the temple that sometimes ideas in dreams can take on as symbols to reveal greater truth. Perhaps that we have just attached these ideas to people we saw when we were in the village last time. You know, they were prominent in our memories of what we saw at that busy time, and then our dream, following only a few days after, took faces that we had seen and attached them to strong ideas that we were being presented.
All 4 of us.
He never even knew me. If he'd seen
We've
me in the
been
village, I
told
certainly
about-
don't think I would have heard his voice, but we all heard
We've
his
been told
voice
about
clearly
giant
in the dream.
centipedes, and then we dreamt of them. We saw these people in the village, and then we dreamt of them.
That makes some sort of sense to me, Folga. The
Then
only
Fulk
thing
looks
that doesn't,
concerned.
the only part that doesn't make sense to me is that we all had seemingly the exact same dream. If I just had that dream, I'd think exactly the same as you. It's the fact that we all had the exact same dream that is really worrying. Someone wants us to have that dream, and someone wants us to not remember the last 3 days.
That and the fact that we remember nothing at all, precisely. But the question is, what do we do? Do we trust that there is something at the chapel? Or do we go to the ruins? Well,
I think that going
people
to the
here want us
ruins
to.
could be one interpretation of the dream, but the only strong message we've received from it is to remember the chapel. If that is what the dream was trying to tell us in those final moments, then I think it would be good to remember it.
I think we should visit the chapel again. We didn't dream of death in the chapel. We dreamt of death in the ruins. So,
I agree.
of the two, I would prefer to visit the chapel again.
I don't want to go in the
Death
ruins.
can find us wherever we go, unfortunately.
That's as maybe, but death by being the...
Yes, that's not
so
mentioned.
many. Okay.
If we
Sure.
do go to the chapel,
Yep.
and everything is as we all remember when we were there last, what do we do then?
We engage in quiet contemplation and hope to dream again.
I'm not sure the village will be too impressed with our bravery.
I'm not sure I want another dream like that. Especially if it comes at the cost of memories.
I wonder whether there's another way of finding out what happened 50 years ago. Whether that, whatever they were doing then, whether there's any relevance to what's going now. But he said he was the only one that remembered.
Also suspicious.
In fairness, of the people that you saw, you wouldn't expect any of the rest of them. There may be
They're all
other
young.
people in the village of the same age as him, but it does make sense from what you've seen of the village that he is the only one who would remember that point in time.
All right,
And there
maybe
was
not
no-
suspicious. Convenient.
Yeah.
There was no
Sophia.
nice sort of library or museum or, anything. No nice Call of Cthulhu touchdowns. We could hide
I
in.
don't want to, tar all fishing villages with the same brush.
Perhaps at the chapel.
Yeah, let's go to the chapel.
There are bookcases at chapels.
So,
Albert, perhaps your faith may be useful here. If there's anything that strikes you as strange about this chapel or about Joan, I've traveled to many of these places, but I've never paid all that much attention to the faith aspect of this, and the things that might strike you as being unusual probably wouldn't jump out to me in the same way.
I'll keep an especially close eye on it, and those eyes don't miss anything.
Yes.
we're doomed. So, what do we do tomorrow then? Or do we go tonight? Are we going to say that we're going to the chapel, or are we going to try and deceive the village in some way?
You're probably in daylight. I think it probably took you 5 hours of travel to get from the chapel to the village. So if you were to go now, it's dark, so you may take a bit longer. It would probably be midnight or the early hours of the morning by the time you arrived. I'm not saying you can't, you absolutely can, but it's just bear that in mind in terms of a decision.
Can we not just say that we want to go to the chapel to research before we go to the ruins? Surely there would be.
There might be a bit
Okay
of a
with that.
rush given all of the parties that are left behind.
And
Again,
What happens.
time-wise, you could realistically go there and back tomorrow and say if they're happy for you to do that, you would go the next day.
Yes, possibly just asking for a delay of a day is the best option, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I'm sure you can persuade them, Volga.
Perhaps more parties might arrive back in the meantime, and then we can have a better idea of what's been going on.
It doesn't seem, given what we saw, I can't say I hold out much hope for it.
Yeah, well,
But I do agree that it's not wise to head straight to the ruins without any further information.
Jonny, Just for clarity, we all have the same memory of this dream, but it's still only Ragnar who remembers having been to some giantist ruins outside of a dream.
Yes. Yeah, so your memories outside of the dream have not changed.
Yeah.
So anything that I said was sort of conflicting stuff that you each had, that is still as was. The only thing that has changed is that you now also have the memory of the dream, which matches what Theon described.
Yeah. Ragnar, this other memory you have of the ruins, perhaps as we're walking tomorrow, it may be worth exploring more exactly what you remember from that. Then maybe if there is some sort of connection to the ruins of the dream, there may be something useful. I don't know.
Well, they sounded like they had the same layout. I think they were supposed to be. They felt like the same building. The dream version was twisted somehow, but the building I got those notes from was the same, but empty.
All right. I think Sophia will just try and jot down like it very much in brief, but the kind of key points of what we all remember and the dream and stuff. Maybe twice over and give another give a bit of paper to. I think if Folger didn't remember something, he'd probably just dismiss it in the morning. Maybe to.
I mean, Fulger wouldn't look for a piece of paper he didn't remember having.
Yeah. And say maybe Ragnar. Yeah, I think, and maybe give it to Ragnar and say, like, hide this somewhere. If there's anything if we don't remember anything tomorrow again, if something happens, hopefully this will help. And Sophia will keep a copy for herself, maybe hidden in a shoe or something.
How would we know, waking up, that we could trust what was on the letter?
I mean, I think I'll have to trust my own word. Hopefully Ragnar at least remembers me enough to trust me and remember me.
We've not lost our memories from before we entered the valley. Hopefully we can trust in that at least.
Yeah.
Well, we had in the dream.
That was just a dream.
Well, if it was just a dream, I'm going back to bed.
Back to bed?
We shall go in the morning to the chapel, and we shall tell the people tonight. But that is the plan.
That seems a plan.
I'll let you tell them, Fulgur.
Sure, that's fine. Perhaps they will try to convince me to stay with wine and food.
They did promise some, didn't they?
I'm gonna head back. I'm gonna dust myself off from the Loch side and head back to the
clan
house I
chief's
was
house?
staying at. Yeah, why not? That's where I'll stay.
Oh.
If you're offering.
Just waltz in.
No, I wondered if you were going to tell him now that you were.
Yeah, I
what
would.
your
I would
plan
probably
was.
do that, or the Demorthen or something. Probably the Demorthen because he's the one
just
who
going
would
to
be
go
going with.
lay down on his bed.
Start rearranging the furniture.
The
Yeah,
accommodations
you
are a
can
bit
find-
sparse, but
You can find the Demorthen's home.
that's where I'd go because he's the one I'm going to be going with. So I'll let him know that our plan is to go to the chapel.
Well, yeah. So okay.
I knew you'd be understanding.
Are you willing to travel with me after this journey?
That I can't promise yet, but I think that we will find out in the chapel. We'll find out more at the chapel, and then we will be able to make a decision. But we will help in any way we can. However, our interpretation of the events to come, our concerns about them are very serious. I think that for all of our safety, it would be best if we pay them some heed, given the nature of those concerns.
Quite right. Yes. Well, we shall wait for your return then, and assess at that point, I think.
Do your Demorthan skills cover much about memory or dream? Did they say much about the interpretation of those things?
It depends. If they have been affected by Magiantist's concoctions, then most likely not, I'm afraid.
Well, never mind then. With that, I'll walk out.
He kind of waits for you to walk away a little, and then closes his door.
Evilly, yeah.
Yeah, he comes outside, closing the door behind him, and you see him heading off in the direction of the clan chief's home.
Sensible.
I mean, it does really look like we're all just running away in the morning now, doesn't it? Like, we're just going to head back up the road to the chapel.
We all really need.
I mean, they all they've done is ask you quite nicely. You have no obligation to assist them, realistically.
Yeah.
But yes, the people who you were staying with provide you wine and some quite nice food, obviously including quite a large helping of fresh fish, which is
Excellent.
Probably a lot better than what you eat a lot of the time. It's actually probably freshly caught that day. Yeah,
I think Sophia probably won't eat. I think she'll make her excuses and sort of go to bed quite early. But can I maybe roll, or I don't know whether you can whether I need to roll for it or not. Like, can you just sort of think back? Like, she's got a couple of points in the Giants, like on if there's anything that she's come across from the stories on her travels, or the stuff that from speaking with Zaig, that makes any sense of this in terms of Magiants, like anything to do with Magiants and memory. Like, I mean, our only real experience with Magiants, like directly, has been with Flux, and that had nothing to do with memory. Like, is there anything that sort of, does it sort of make sense as a possibility of Magiants as opposed to something else?
Make me a Magiants roll, please.
Not very good. 8 overall.
Okay. You cannot think of anything specifically either way. Nothing to say that it wouldn't be possible, but you don't know of any instances of it happening. However, you are also very aware that you all know basically nothing about the fossil flux, and it's acted as sort of a poison to people, but also seems to be having different effects on creatures and even maybe plants, depending on whether the dream that you have all had is anything. You obviously saw that it was harming the plants that you passed in Melwan. There were a lot of sort of disfigured, and the ones in the delicious stew that you were offered by the hermit. So, there is a part of you probably that thinks maybe something to do with the fossil flux stuff is anything is maybe possible potentially.
Yeah.
You don't know about any uses for it, especially if it's been being researched for much longer than you've previously been aware of.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, that was a long way of saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally fine. Not a Magiantist. Yeah, because I think things like, the plant in the dream, and we saw it do things to plants before. It's totally different effect, but okay, it can do stuff like that. But still very uncertain about the whole memory stuff. That's fine. Yeah.
What are the rest of you guys doing? Are you just going back to your homes?
Yeah, I probably spend some time out that evening whispering to Morag, hoping that she will help me
What do
regain
you
my memory.
remember, Morag?
And that. I do
What do
indeed
you
also.
mean, Morag? Ah!
I think I like the idea that Fionn thinks that he understands what Morag says, but doesn't really obviously understand what Morag says because she's a crow.
Morag's just shouting at you.
Mm.
Don't go,
Yeah.
you flipping!
Run away.
The dream
Yeah.
really clear. I'm not
Does
going to
Mor-
go with you because I know you're going to die.
Does Morag offer me anything helpful, Jonny?
No.
Yeah, that seems fairly reasonable. We're all getting ready to be shocked then, aren't we? But yeah, that's
Well, there's still the chance of a long no, then suddenly yes, maybe.
yeah,
Okay,
true,
wait,
true.
yes.
Are you sure, Jonny?
Yes.
Well, I guess we'd better go to this chapel then, and yeah, Ragnar will happily accept, the decent meal, and then try
So
and
we
get
all
some
go-
sleep.
Yeah, we all go to sleep, wake up the next morning.
No dreams at all.
What's happened? Anything changed?
During the night,
Yeah. We all die.
Fulgur
Yeah.
sees himself as a child in
Cool.
quite a bright landscape. He recognizes where he grew up. It's in the heart of summer, and he is happy running around. And then Fulgur sees his cousin coming running towards him with a
Sadness.
smile, and they start playing, and Fulgur sees on his cousin's wrist a silver-plated bracelet,
Mm-hmm.
which suddenly then the scene switches, and Fulgur is once again standing in the Magiantis ruins, and his cousin is staring towards him as Fulgur kills him. Fulgur relives the whole of this scene, this moment that he had in the ruins, not realizing that this man was his cousin, and is powerless in this dream, can do nothing to stop what happens, and basically has to watch on as this scene goes through again.
This is the scene where I shoot the guy with the bow.
Yeah.
And the guy with the bow is his cousin.
Yes. And suddenly, with a start, Fulgur wakes, maybe letting out a small sort of scream. I'll let you, Justin, decide whether Fulgur would do
I
that.
rolled a 13 on my mental resistance check.
And you catch sight of someone in the corner of your room.
Cool.
And this shadowy figure moves towards you and steps into a beam of moonlight coming through the window. And it is
my
once
enemy?
again your cousin.
My cousin's dead.
Staring at you with an icy gaze, melancholic.
Mm-hmm.
You killed me, Fulgur.
Not me.
You killed me. And you see the blood sort of drain out of his face. And he says, you killed me. It was a job. I was never as talented as you. I became a mercenary. Well, I didn't tell you because I was worried of what you'd think of me. But look, he, from a sort of breast pocket, pulls out a scrap of paper and hands it to you. And there are some from his hands, which you'd see sort of blood has come down his arm and onto his hand. So there are small splodges of blood on this scrap of paper. And he says, you need to bring the truth to light so that my death has not been in vain. And you see that the scrap of paper is the sort of puzzle that Ragnall had from the Magiantis ruins. And you basically dream within a dream, you wake up again.
Yep.
And there is nobody in the room. And you see on your bedside table is the scrap of paper with that puzzle on. And also a couple of splodges of fresh blood.
Brilliant.
You can scream now, Folger.
No, I mean, again, sorry, I just got a divine message. Thank you very much. I'm having a good day,
Happy types, good message.
Like, I don't, it's a fool who thinks that sanity is more important than divine inspiration. So,
But yes, I'm going to need a mental resistance roll. Speaking,
I'm loving it. I will. I hope I lose. I hope I fail. It'll be the first one. But...
I love Fulger's worldview. This is just fantastic.
If I have less sanity, I can have more divine interventions, right?
Unfortunately, 20. Very disappointing.
Solid as a rock.
Yeah, you needed a 17, so
absolutely nothing in my worldview has changed.
Wow.
It's
just like watching Netflix.
I'm just like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and this is exactly how it's supposed to happen.
The only thing that may have changed about Fulger's worldview is that you are sort of filled with a desire to solve this puzzle.
That is new. Also, Fulger's background is that they are completely alone. Their entire family has either died or disappeared in mysterious circumstances that plague Fulger. So this is only playing into his idea that there is some divine inspiration going on. And in some ways, he's comforted to know his cousin has died as a mercenary somewhere. And that's part of what I am being told by the one true God.
Somewhere by your hand?
Not by my hand. I would have known my cousin if I killed him in a dream.
Okay.
Or this is there's something going on here, but it's all. I feel so good about this.
That's great because
I love your
right.
Can I? Do I have? I have. I've got to have some kind of like something. I have like I gotta have some scrap of fabric somewhere. I'm gonna soak up this blood, and I'm going to treasure it.
We've got a cultist in the party. This is concerning.
It's not a cult if it becomes the one dominant religion of all of this island.
Wow.
By hook or by crook.
That's a heel turn. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm not there because I'm really spooked out by the fact that you now have a bit of paper that I had. I actually... Hang on, that was a dream. No, he actually has the bit of paper.
Is it the same piece of paper, or is it a copy of
we'll have to find out
piece
tomorrow.
of paper? That's what we need to find out.
Who can say?
Morning.
Did we sleep well?
None of you, unless you think you wouldn't have slept well. There is no reason that you wouldn't.
Excellent.
The beds may be a little uncomfy, but Yeah,
It's fine.
maybe a couple of sort of waking up with a bit of a sore leg or something, and then having to readjust. But apart from that, fine.
Every time I wake up, I don't go back to sleep until I make sure my memories are there.
A dream.
But how
journey.
would you know?
Going
Yeah.
through everything. Yeah, true. Making sure I can remember. Can I remember going to sleep in this bed last night?
Yes.
Sophia's doing like that. She's checking against her note that like her memory. Okay, right, I remember everything. Wait, got to double check that match. Okay, yeah, no, that was everything. And yeah, convene wherever we agreed to meet up.
Yeah.
Is that in the center?
I had my own vision last night.
What happened?
I now have this, and I pull out the piece of paper. This was given to me.
That's not a vision, Fulgur.
It's a bit of paper.
I mean, a vision.
You're just jealous, Sophia.
A vision is in your mind.
Jealousy
Fulgur.
doesn't become you.
Did you dream something, Volga?
Yes. And is this the same piece of paper that has Ragnar also got?
I would immediately, if I see that piece of paper, I would immediately check to see, did I hand it in?
Ragnar does not have that scrap of paper.
Was it given back to me when we showed it at the council?
Yeah,
was
we
it
got
given
them
back
back.
to me, or did they take it?
Yes. Yeah,
It was given back to me.
This arrived in my bedroom along with a vision of a long-lost family member who said that this was important.
Ragnar, when you had this yesterday, that there wasn't blood on, correct?
No, I had it.
Was there
I
blood
had
on
it
this
until
too?
I went to sleep. Someone's stolen it and given it.
Are you bleeding, Ragnar? Have you?
Check.
Yeah.
I'm not injured.
There
I
was
suppose,
blood
I'm
on the table that it was left on, as part of as it was delivered by some kind of angel. That the stigmata, this very important symbol. Fulgur's not. He has. I don't know whether Fulgur's slept for appropriate amounts. He doesn't appear to have done.
So perhaps someone was fighting over this note or something, and it was returned to us. That could be why there's blood
It
on
was
it.
fresh blood.
But this tells us very clearly that something wrong is happening here in the village, not at the ruins. There's someone stealing your possessions, Ragnar, and delivering them to you, Fulgur, along with some sort of vision. This is, I don't know, divine, whatever you want to call it, but that you didn't just get a vision. You got delivered stolen goods. Like there's something real, manifest happening here as well. It's not just in our minds. Someone is doing this.
I agree. Something has happened because they stole it from Ragnar.
Who can say? I
Either
think
way.
the vision is telling us we must make pilgrimage to the chapel and solve this mystery. We are on the right path, my friends. We are on the right path.
You said it was a long lost relative. You recognize the person, and it's not somebody who anybody here would know.
No, I have not seen them for many years. In fact, I have barely seen them as a full-grown man, but I recognise them, and they appeared to me as if they were that poor man who we have a vision of me brutally murdering in our dream.
How sure can you be that this is definitely a relative then? If it's someone you've not seen in this long, did you recognize the actual
The symbols
image of them?
of the dream are very clear to me.
Fulgur, could you describe this man to me?
Yeah, why not? I do that. But it doesn't matter what he looks like. I describe him, but it doesn't matter.
But
Jonny,
that's what I mean, Fulgur.
Does the
Does it-
description match the man that I saw in my dream and the man that I saw in the village? Okay, so I will say, Fulgur, your relative must be here in the village then. If that's who you saw
Basically
in the-
impossible.
This is what I mean. Perhaps that person is not your relative, Fulgur. Someone is just trying to make you think that they are, because you don't know what they actually look like.
Look, this is all irrelevant. These dreams should not be interpreted. They are symbolic in nature. They
Symbols
are
have to be
inspired.
interpreted.
Yes.
They don't mean anything without interpretation.
Indeed.
I saw that person when I first entered the village. I think they saw all of us. So if they really were a relative of yours, Fulga, I believe they would have seen you by this point. So perhaps Sophia's
Certainly.
right, and they're not somehow. This is not the truth.
Well, why not find them and talk to them?
I don't think we can trust anybody here.
It's a big
I'm not
village.
sure whether that you'll know better than me, Fulga, what the dream said, but I suspect that the people in this village want us to go to the ruins. Someone is trying to force us there. If this dream, this vision, is making you want to figure this out because of some sort of personal connection, are you sure it's not trying to push you back to the ruins rather than the chapel?
Well,
I don't want to go wherever that thing is trying to force us to go.
I would be interested in talking to this person. There is a small chance that they could actually be my cousin. Perhaps that is what I'm inspired to find out. But I think the chapel is the right place to go. But I think that this piece of paper is the most crucial part.
Either way, they seem to recognize us and try to avoid us last time when we first arrived in the village. Whoever this person was from the dream that you killed
Well,
Fulga.
No one ever manages to avoid us for very long.
Well, I'm just saying, if we go looking for them now, I don't think we'll succeed, given all we have is a face. And they don't want to be found, apparently.
Well, let's do a run around of the village, describing said person in the morning before we set off to the chapel. Let's take no more than, say, an hour. If we can't find them, then we head off to the chapel.
I suppose we don't have a choice but to trust others in the village. I would like to find them or find out if they live here.
That's what I'd like to do. I'd like to do the old searching around for them.
I will also search.
Okay.
Less by asking, more by looking.
Okay, so depending on how you are searching, whether you're asking or looking, can you make relation or perception rolls?
Sure. I rolled a 10, which puts it at 18.
7.
9. Not so good.
11.
Okay. Anybody looking, you do not spot this person. And Fulga, you are certain that you are being your most polite, persuasive, and nobody has any information on this person. People
Fantastic.
say that it doesn't really sound like anybody that they know.
This is great news. And so I'll head back to the group and go, this person, nobody knows where he is. Nobody's heard of him. I am certain that this is part of our vision.
But I saw him when we were in the...
Part of the
last
vision.
night.
We can't trust our memories.
I suppose you're right.
We might not even be able to trust our memories of the previous day.
I wish we'd asked who he was when we were there.
Well, we didn't. And what we are going to do instead is solve this riddle, and we are going to go to the chapel. And we're going to ask as many people about who the civilies might be. So I think that is the first step.
I don't suppose it means anything to you.
If you're going to discuss the
note.
Are you discussing the puzzle? The
yeah.
note?
Yeah.
It's the most important thing.
Okay.
You weren't interested in it when it was my bit of paper.
No, but then God revealed to me that I should be interested in it.
Right. Fine.
Ragnar
Okay,
got them before God.
Can you make me either Magiance or Erudition rolls, please?
Oh.
Is that everyone looking at the...
Yeah, if you're having a discussion, everyone can roll.
I rolled an 11.
In?
Erudition.
Okay.
Well, these are not my strong points. Yeah, no, I'm doing a Folger here. I rolled 2 and got 4, either for Magians or Erudition, both the same.
I got 14 in Erudition.
Okay.
11 for me, same in both.
Look at the smarty pants over here.
Okay. Theon and Sophia. The Savelli's Passion, you know, is a famous anecdote about the founders of Magiants. A couple who loved rowboat rides. And it is said that it was during such a ride that they established the fundamental principles of Magiants. Rowboat rides. And it is actually believed that they were on a boat ride in some kind of lake or loch or what have you, and stopped on a sort of island in the center to have these discussions. Justin?
I was just going to say, can we get the image up? I might make a sketch of it on my notepad so I can actually just remember what it's.
Oh,
I know it has
sure.
like a
Yeah,
ring or maybe a something, but maybe we might be able to.
And then, yeah, there you go. So the Savelli's Passion bit is about this couple who basically created Magiants essentially, and did so in the middle of a rowboat ride, having stopped on an island in the center of a body of water. And can you make another roll each for me for the top section of this, which is either a Magiant's roll or a science roll?
Oh, both the same for me. Oh no, I always lose this dice.
Just a 9 for me.
In?
Magiants.
Well,
Dream
I
and
got
weep.
I have 0 in both, so 5 as well.
Okay.
I'm just going to have to hide the image briefly whilst I find my character sheet. So hold on.
I've written it down. I've got my picture of it now, so I can stare at that for the rest of time.
Savelli's Passion.
And this was, sorry, science or...
Magiants.
Or Magiants.
Yeah, you're not going to have them right.
No, I'm not.
It's
Oh,
just
I get a
reason.
9, though. Furrowed bow, deep thought. 9.
A 9 total.
Yeah.
Okay. None of you are sure on this.
Smart. Very
Looks
smart.
like it looks to those of you who do know a bit about Magiants or science like it may be some kind of formula, but you're not sure exactly what.
I think Sophia will relay what she does know of Savelli's Passion to the others.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Theon will nod and say, well, we're near a loch. Is there an island?
True.
Yes, you can see an island in the middle which has one tree on it. It's not particularly big. You think that you would be, if you were a party of twice the size you are, you think you would struggle to all fit on, basically.
I mean,
So it's not a large island.
we can't not go to the island.
Perhaps on our return, we make another brief excursion.
Yeah, I wonder whether their sudden inspiration for Magiants. I wonder if that's similar at all to any of these visions we've had.
I think that the island is the. I think the island visiting the island. Is there a rowboat?
There's loads of boats there.
It's a fishing village, so there's loads.
I think visiting the island. That's got to be. That's got to be. If this is if the vision said that this was the key, then
Jonny, given like the knowledge that I kind of just had of Savelli's Passion thing, I guess I have a very vague idea of how old Magiants is. like historically? Has it been like, because this ruin's been around, like pretty old, obviously, but
It came over from the continent, didn't it?
yeah, would I date
Yes.
this ruin to be early Magiants, or is this ruin like, oh no, there's been Magiants around for thousands of years before this point, sort of thing?
Not thousands of years, but certainly it wasn't the forefathers of Magiants that built this ruin either.
That was the sort of
No.
thing I was wondering. Yeah,
And
Yeah.
also, the origins of
specific
Magiants
evidence.
is surely on the continent.
yeah. I just
Well, it maybe was dominant and came from there, but perhaps it was inspired here on some travels.
or it
something.
may
Yeah.
simply be a message to a clue to a location, not that was where they went. But
Sure,
something
but
is-
maybe if this person knows about the story of an island, and they know that this loch has an island, that's their clue to themselves,
exactly
their
they're
reminder.
just leaving
just
a message
saying-
for others to find something.
I'm just saying, I'll go whether the group says to go. I think that we're all got this vision. We're all inspired by this vision. But my vote's for the island.
We're already on the road to the chapel at this point.
Are we?
I think this you said this was conversation
Gosh
ongoing
darn it.
on the road. So
When we get back, I
Yeah,
vote
that-
we go straight to the island.
I agree, but we're not turning around now, Fulker.
I'll turn this road trip around.
And yeah, I guess we'll also, while we're on the way, just ask Ragnall a bit more about any memories he's got, any more details, any more inspirations from his memories of the other trip, the nice, safe, boring trip to the ruins where there wasn't anything of note that happened, and if there's any similarity other than the layout generally, like if there's anything that makes any kind of meaningful connections or makes sense of anything.
Yeah. So how much can I remember of that, other than so?
You just remember that you went through the door at the front, the one that you were trying to escape from at the end, that then wasn't there in the dream. You looked around the area that Theon was sort of running down when he got centipeded. Is where there were sort of office rooms, which is where you found the notes that you found.
Okay.
And apart from that, everything was as you had wandered through in the dream.
So
No
went in all
giant
the rooms.
plant or
No. And it was deserted and no sign of life.
yeah.
And no other people, just us, presumably.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if there's nothing that really makes any more sense of that, that's fine. But she will certainly ask and try and think of something.
I mean, I presume we must have gone there. We must
What?
I don't know anymore, Ragnall. Just don't know.
Well, I don't have any dreams about people giving me bits of paper, so we must have gone there.
And there was nothing in the actual dream about it, was there?
I suppose because we showed everybody at Loch Varn, everybody saw that you had that bit of paper. Anybody in the town. This is why we shouldn't tell everyone in the town about things.
Don't tell
Something-
anybody anything. That's the
Justin?
When I remember the dream that Theon had, do I experience it as if I was Theon? Or do I experience
No, it's from
it...
your perspective.
I
Yeah.
am fascinated as to why we all woke up when Theon died. But
Theon
Theon
died.
did scream
Das.
in real life.
oh, okay, that's true. That's true. Yeah, Theon Das. I see where you're going with that.
That thought occurred to me previously. Yeah, I was waiting for
Any
something.
one of us could secretly be the bad guy.
Wow.
Booger's like, at least we all know it's not me.
Jonny, while we're on the journey as well, I'm keeping an eye out for strange wildlife behavior, giant molehill-looking things, anything like that as well. You know how we've obviously seen evidence of that, so that's something I'm kind
Chittering
of
of
like
giant centipedes.
looking for. Yeah, giant centipedes in the trees, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you you don't pick up anything on the way here, although you are traveling on a path that is sort of alongside the woods, which is where the village people seem to think that there may be things.
Mhm.
So if you were to stray into the wood, it may be that you know, if you wanted to specifically look for evidence of this stuff, you would be probably better placed looking in the woods rather than along the path.
I suppose while we're walking, I will like be in the edge of the woods at times looking, but I'm not going out of sight of the others. But if I don't find anything doing that, I won't go any further.
Make me a perception roll.
Okay. I've now memorized how many plus that is because we make it so often. Oh, that's a terrible roll. So an 8 in total.
No, you don't spot anything, but it's some quite thick undergrowth, so you know you could probably be within a couple of feet actually of something and not necessarily spot it.
I'm not feeling too confident about wandering off alone in the forest around here, so I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, if it makes any difference, Sophia doesn't want to eat anything that anybody else is going to give her anymore. So if there's any like plants or things like that, or any hunting that could be done like on the way, so I think she would happily venture a bit further into the forest if that would help with any kind of, you know, scavenging or hunting.
Why don't you make me a
Travel?
Yeah, I was thinking a travel roll, yeah. Let's see if you can pick yourself up any food.
11.
Cool. Yeah, I think you managed to gather together enough for, you know, maybe lunch for everybody, or if other people are eating other stuff, you could have yourself 2 meals from what you've gathered, a couple of meals. But yeah, unless you're specifically looking for weird things.
No, I would rather find not weird things to eat, to be honest. But might be happier to be on venturing a bit further. If he's looking for one thing, I'm looking for another. But at least he's not alone in doing that.
I love the idea of we all gather around the fire for lunch. Sophia's just there like, food's ready, guys, and we just look over and it's you just spitting a giant centipede over the fire.
My.
Don't give Jonny ideas.
Okay. You arrive at St. Nilene's Chapel, probably around, just after sort of lunchtime, very early afternoon. And Joan says, "Oh, you've returned. Is all well? Are you returning home?"
No. We have had some difficulty with, we think some magics in the giantess ruin have addled our memory, and we are retracing our steps.
I see.
Can you tell us a bit about how we left this place? We all agree that we arrived, and we agree that we spent the night, but little about the next day, how we left.
And when did we leave?
And why?
Yes, I'm afraid there's not very much to tell you. You rose the next morning and ate a little and packed up your things and went on the road.
Believable.
How many days ago?
6, 7.
That's more time than I would have expected for us to go straight to Loch Varn. Seems we went somewhere else in the meantime.
Well, apparently we visited Loch Varn twice. So,
but the first time we went there was only 3 or 4 days ago, as they told it. So there's at least 1 or 2 days in that time.
Oh, that's true.
Shouldn't take us that long to travel from here to there, should it?
I might just quietly to everyone out, if I can say this at all out, like under my breath enough that Joan doesn't hear it. Careful of what we say to others.
Where did we say that we were heading? Do you remember?
Yes, to Varn's village. You were answering the call for aid.
That again sounds true. Should we? I mean, like I kind of make a kind of like draw a square in the air, like the note. Should we inquire some more about?
Yeah, she's just like politely looking away while we whisper to each other right in front of her. Because we came here to have a conversation with her.
Have you got any secrets?
Tell us the secrets. Tell us them.
Jonny, is she still dressed up as though in mourning? Does she seem cheerier than when we saw her before? Does she seem happy to see us? Like, how is she?
Yeah, so she's dressed in what Folga would recognize as kind of standard attire for a woman in a chapel of the One. She seemed not unhappy to see you, but quite shocked that you had returned, I suppose, in relatively short order from what she would consider. But she seems relatively cheerful. Obviously, you've kind of jumped in with, we don't remember anything. Tell us what happened, which is probably quite a strange thing for her to have to deal with. So she is a little,
That's fair.
Seems a little taken aback, but nothing that seems untoward in your opinion.
Do you have any teachings, any books, or anything like that here in the chapel?
Yes, of course. We have a collection of spiritual books just over here. And she takes you over to a bookcase, and there are a number of leather-bound, chunky books, some of which Folga would have seen before.
That's true. Can I look for any of them that might have anything to do with Magiant?
No, there are none.
Are there anything? I was going to ask her directly. Like, are there any that are more about the history of either this place or any other, rather than strictly about faith?
No, in some of the larger, more central chapels, there would be texts such as those, but unfortunately, they're not very often looked for out here.
While this conversation is going on, I think Fionn has just quietly taken himself off and is maybe wandering around looking for things that might stand out unusual to him. Perhaps is there a conspicuous amount of locked doors, or are there obvious things that seem amiss to me for a
strangely clean flagstones?
I'm just having a look around to see if anything stands out to me, I suppose, by myself.
Any trapdoors under rugs, that kind of thing. Your standard fare, really.
Cellars full of hundreds of dead people.
How in depth are you looking?
I imagine I'm gone for a while, so I think I'm probably looking around for the next hour or so. So you might
Oh, okay.
I'm off, so I can roll this later if you like.
Roll it.
So yeah, make a perception roll.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god! Wish I could roll again in this game somehow.
You can
if you spend a survival point.
Oh,
do it!
I really, really, really. I think there's something up with this place, so I'm going to do it.
Don't do it. It's a terrible idea.
No, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
If Folga says don't do it, then
I'm doing it. I rolled a 10. It was worth it.
Much better. And now you're going to die.
I didn't roll a double 10, but that gives me a 16.
All right. So you spend your time checking the doors. They're all unlocked. There are only 3 doors in this main area. They're all unlocked.
But you check them a lot in that hour.
You
I get nothing from this.
You sort of spend some more time looking around. You probably look around the bookshelves, maybe checking if there's anything sort of around or anything. Mm-hmm. And then you notice that a section of the flooring bearing in mind it's all flagstones. So you expect, obviously, an offset from one flagstone to the next. And you notice that there is a section of them where there are 6 in a line. And you sort of pry around the edges and you lift. And
sacrilege.
There are steps leading to an underground room.
Oh, great. An underground room.
And we'll leave it there for this week.
Oh, I gave you your reveal, Jonny.
Oh, God. After much faffing around.
Cost me a survival point. It was worth it. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, this is all very, very nice and simple.
Fine.
And
It's fine. It's fine.
It's all fine.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions or
I've got questions.
comments, then put them in the chat and we can discuss them. Other things that we do on the channel promo stuff, Wednesdays, Simba Room, presumably Saturday the 2nd of April, but follow our social media or join us on Discord to get a definite answer, will be our next weekend one-shot. And that's it for the moment. We're taking a week off next week, so we will be back on Monday the 21st of March for our next stream of this adventure. And all the previous ones are on YouTube, so if you've just jumped in, then go look at those. Yeah, I think that's all of that information that I have to give.
That was fun. I loved that. That ending.
Yeah, it's good.
Out of curiosity, Jonny, was that like an I'm going to reveal a thing at the end, this is the thing, or was that totally out of like luck of the moment that ended right on the session?
Yeah, that was a good. But I mean, there are numerous obviously things in an adventure where you can drop an ending that's quite cool. But yeah, that was just good timing.
Yeah, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say,
why are we missing next week?
I know. I'm loving your approach, Justin, to the sort of psychology of Fulgur. It's just
it's great. He's great. I'm really enjoying it. He's almost like Scooby-Doo in that he is a joke character, but he's incredibly serious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. You know, like he's clearly ridiculous, but you know, I think he's internally consistent. You know, and I don't think he detracts from it. Like, the situation still remains scary despite Fulgur being insane.
I think it increases the scariness. In fact, personally,
I mean, it did when you were basically, being about to be attacked, not about to be attacked, about to be murdered for murdering somebody, and Fulgur was like, "Yeah, I mean, like, well, that's what we'll do." Like, it turns out you did it. We'll get you.
I don't know how you could wake up with a piece of paper with blood on it, especially after this scary dream, and just be like, "Awesome," rather than terrified that someone has just been in your room.
This is Fulgur's never actually been the target of divine inspiration before. This is this is a sign that everything is going exactly the way it's supposed to go.
All those points in prayer have finally paid off.
Exactly.
By keeping you insane, by presuming that something having been stolen from Ragnall, got blood on it, and then dropped in your room is clearly something religious.
It's very religious.
Right.
I'm loving there's so many erudition rolls. I've been looking to use erudition the entire time.
I upped my erudition before this as well. I'm so happy.
You're so erudite, and it shows.
All that erudition. But I don't have any science or vaginas. Damn it. Which isn't.
Yeah, I think this game it's certainly not designed for it, but I think you could really benefit in a lot of the stories by having a vagiantist on staff.
Yeah. It's interesting because it seems to play the Magians as the bad guys a lot too, though. So that must be a bit difficult. I mean, we don't know they're the bad guys. In
I
this
mean, a
story
lot of
yet,
them
but
are
they are
bad
the
certainly
bad
guys,
guys.
but you
They're
know, just because
elements-
some of them are bad doesn't mean they're
I'm
bad.
Yeah, but the
I'm
fact that you
not
can play one
convinced.
is a bit. It's like playing the Necromancer in D&D or something, isn't it?
I think
Do you
it's
mind-
just kind of
if
that. You know, the whole thing is kind of 3 warring groups essentially. So you could have written the adventures to be aimed at any one of the 3, I suppose. And
Okay,
it just, you know, it just happens that these ones are written with bad Magiantists. There's probably bad Demorthan and
Well,
bad
that's
Temple
what
people as
you
well.
want.
Never had to-
Whoa.
I was gonna say,
Sorry.
I'm not sure how I feel about the temple right now. This is
I mean, yeah.
it's all
Look,
gone wrong.
you don't
Given-
have like
So-
this. They've got to have. I'm sure this temple thing will be full of bones.
Yeah,
just
what
as
I'm
it
gonna
should
do-
be. That's where
I'm-
they keep the bones.
I'm going to open
Like,
the floor,
you know,
go downstairs, and it's just going to be like, there's a really nice shrine down there.
It's full
with
of
some
corpses. I'm
Lovely
like, yeah, well, where would
flowers
you keep the
decorated.
corpses if it's not in the basement? You know, you're not going to keep them out in the
Nothing
fucking
suspicious.
front room, are you? You know, they've got to
Oh.
be somewhere.
Well, you know, apart from when we turned up here last time and there was a corpse in the front room, but sure, whatever, Fulgur.
No, the corpse has got to go somewhere. You know, I don't see Joan digging any holes. She's a waif of a girl. You know, she chucks them down the flipping trap door into the corpse room.
And on that note,
God.
yeah, cool. So we're off next week. We'll be back on the 21st of March. We'll get a follow if there are American accents.
No,
No hope.
We're not
I think I
performing
could probably
monkeys.
do like an okay kind of American
Oh my
accent.
God. Terrible.
How's this? Does this deserve a follow? I don't know. How's that?
Johnny,
Are we
master
happy?
Master of the voice. I know it probably sounds terrible to an
I
actual
got-
American. Oh,
I got a
Maybe
hell
not.
yeah, so that's
There
fine.
you go. There you go.
Well, thanks for the follow. Yeah.
you should.
Yeah,
you
thanks
should
for
do it.
joining us, and sorry that you joined us right at the end of the stream.
You
But
should watch
video-
Call of
Videos will be
Cthulhu
available soon. So
to hear all of Johnny's amazing accents too, because he does so many of them.
Mm.
They're really good.
Oh yeah, if you watch our the Call of Cthulhu, if we're pretending to be the Queen or something, we do UK accents. Yeah, if you watch the Call of Cthulhu things that we did, there's loads of Scottish and Welsh.
Yeah, the Welsh was really good.
That was fun. Cool. Yes. Yeah. They're on YouTube. So if you do want to watch those, then great. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see everybody on the 21st.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Bye bye.